All right, so TC. Disney CEO Bob Iger claims Marvel Studios' recent failings, I don't know about just recent, but recent failings are because they diluted focus and attention by spreading their employees too thin. In fact, he says that, um, what is it? He asserted that a lot of the failure that was taking place was because there were too many uh, Disney Plus shows and their connectivity to the movies. So he's attributing their recent failures, one, to their employees being spread too thin, and he's attributing that to the fact that there's too many Disney Plus shows in relation to the films.
Okay. Interestingly enough, I don't disagree that those things are true. I do disagree that they're the core of the problem, though.
Yeah, I also agree with the core of the problem as well. I'm trying to find. Let's see. Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Iger recently asserted the movie studio's recent creativity and box office failures are a result of company diluting its focus and attention by spreading its employees too thin.
Well, actually, he said the problem at the beginning there. Their creativity problem. They don't have any.
No, that's a huge problem. No, I agree. I agree. It's the writing, and we've been saying this from the beginning. The writing, it's shit. It's not good.
It's so convoluted. Like, I remember I was watching one of the recent Disney movies. I think it was Quantum Mania, and I actually had to like pause and explain what the hell was going on because it
Mhm.
was just so nonsensical.
Oh,
Uh,
oh my gosh.
it brought me such joy
Oh,
that a
that's
movie is so like nonsensical that like granted the person I was watching it with wasn't a nerd, but still it's like the story is so incoherent that I had to like pause and explain. It's great.
no, yeah. Yeah. Things are definitely not what they used to be at Disney. That's for sure. Yeah, I wish I could find that one. There's this one um photo that shows a list of their products that they've released and in the budgets for those products. And those budgets are insane, like they're astronomical. Like no reason to be as high as they are, and they are just losing money, hand over fist, just losing money.
You know why? Well, we've already said why in a way, but wasn't it wasn't it Raimi who said he was writing WandaVision season 2? He was writing that as he was watching like as they were filming.
As they were filming, yeah.
Yeah, as they were filming, they were writing Multiverse of Madness, which is WandaVision season 2, and it's
Which
like you'd think that they would have like why not just let somebody write for like why do you have to have such a fast timeline? Give somebody 6 months or a year just to write out a script. And then you know what? The story quality should, assuming you had people who knew what the hell they were doing, go up. And then you can actually throw money at it and it will work.
yeah, change your formula because what you're doing right now is not working. This proves that the audience that you're catering to, that very small percentage, is not watching your shit. And it's definitely not watching it enough for you to even break even, let alone be in the like be out of the red. Like,
They are the definition of a loud minority. The
yeah,
fact of the matter is, even if everyone who agreed with all this pandery, virtue signaling bullshit did watch it, you still wouldn't make your money back,
You wouldn't.
even if they did buy their tickets, because they aren't as widespread as Twitter would make you believe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know, and then I think they do have all these time constraints for the writers, right? They want to, because they, you know, they want to put this product out tomorrow, so the very next day or the very following day, it's time for a new Marvel product, and then it's time again for new Marvel product. So in a way, I can believe that, you know, now you're asking. So essentially, the creatives don't even have enough time to even be creative. Like you said, like give them some time to write a script, give them some time to work on some things, rather than putting these time constraints on them. And here we are. I mean, we heard the same thing with the VFX people, right? Like they're like Marvel, they have such these time constraints and these deadlines that are like so hard to meet that we essentially have to do, you know, the bare minimum. Like we can only do so much, you know? So I don't know.
You
It's
know, you know it's funny because I think they're afraid that they'll lose out on money. Like that's what they're afraid of. If we take our hand off the throttle for 30 seconds, we'll lose money. But it took like 30 years for George Lucas to write the prequels. And say what you will about the prequels, they had two things going for them. There was actually a story, and they actually made money, and people wanted more.
that's true.
And it took 30 years.
Yeah, you're
I
not
wasn't
wrong.
alive for the original trilogy. I wasn't born till 20 years after the original trilogy. And yeah,
Yeah, and those movies are adored now. Like those movies that he wrote, those movies that he did, they're adored now compared to the fucking bullshit. The fucking Ray, I'm Ray Skywalker. Ray, go fuck yourself. That's your name. Ray, go
take the
fuck.
Skywalker name out, ya.
Fuck your mouth.
Take the Skywalker name out.
Oh man, yeah. You know, I said something about this too the other day. I was talking to another friend of mine, and I was like, you know, these TV shows, I get it that you want to have them, you know, in between, but I'm like, a lot of it is just one, they're not good. One, and then two, you really don't need them. Like you don't need them at all. And I think about phases 1 through 3, and I'm like, we didn't have a fucking TV show through any of those phases, and they did fine. In fact, there was an uphill of the amount of money that Marvel and Disney were making through those phases, I'm pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure phase one made like $1 to $2 billion. Phase two made $5 billion, five plus, and then phase three made 13 billion plus. And then you go down to phase four, and it goes from 13 and it shoots all the way back down to 5. And then now in
It's
phase 5 to start, it's at about 1 point something billion right now. And that got beat by Avatar Way of Water. So one film has beaten what?
which, by the way, how long were they waiting for that? Back in 2008. I'm pretty sure it was
Exactly.
2008. It was the same year
Yes.
Iron Man came out.
Yeah.
So time between releases doesn't detrimentally affect your.
Does
Doesn't.
not.
In fact, you know what that does? It generates hype because it becomes an event as opposed to just next Marvel thing. I remember when Episode 3 of Star Wars came out, it was all over the news. People were like, lines were surrounding the block, and people were in cosplay and shit trying to watch that last movie. and there was a decent chunk of time between between episodes 2 and 3, and this is from the supposedly not good prequel movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like let it breathe. Can you let Marvel product breathe before next Marvel product? That's all I ask. That is all I ask. I mean, look
It's the
for. Go ahead.
it's the wee child's cake formula. How do you get people to eat more cake? You make them wait 4 hours for dinner. It's like the
Yeah,
anticipation is a thing.
it's
It's something you can use.
exactly. It's the anticipation. It, like you said, it's a thing. It's a draw. It's such a draw. I mean, look at Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise knows what he's doing, especially with the Mission Impossible movies. I'm pretty sure the first one came out in '96. 4 years later, the second one came out. 6 years later, the third one came out. 5 years later, the fourth one came out. 4 years, the fifth. three
And
years, the sixth.
if
5 more years, the seventh. Like, let it breathe.
if Disney had the Mission Impossible movies, we would have been the Mission Impossible. Which one are we at now?
We're on number 7 now.
We would have been done with the series in 5 years because they would have just been like from
True.
Mission Impossible 1 to 7. They're like, oh, this made money. Make 1 million of them. It's like literally the time, like making people wait helps. It's a good thing. Look at Top Gun Maverick. That made well over $1 billion. And how many years ago was that movie released?
Exactly.
I wasn't even alive.
Exactly. Yeah, if Disney had a hold of that franchise, Tom Cruise character Ethan Hunt would be gender and race swapped. Would be a strong black woman, probably.
The one thing I can say about Tom Cruise, or one thing I'll say with regard to that is, I don't think he would have noped out. He would
He
have
would.
enough integrity to be
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not going to let you do that to my character.
Well, that's what I mean, and they would have been gladly let him go. They would have been glad to let him go because he embodies everything that they're not trying to, cater to. He's he's a white male, so that's one thing he's got that they don't really like at all. So, yeah. Not to mention, that the toxic, that the masculine toxicity, and yeah, all that other good stuff. So, but yeah, so Disney Marvel is in shambles. It's not doing well. They're losing money on everything. The TV shows are so dumb because you have to remember what happened in the TV show to even know what the fuck's going on in these movies. And 9 times out of 10, nobody's giving a shit about these TV shows. And then, it's like, oh, this happened? When did this happen? Oh, in the fucking show. Fuck this show. So, yeah.
They need to do better, Senator.
Do better, Iger. Do better. Do fucking better. Oh, man. All right, TC. Any other comments you would like to make?
Just what they really need to do is really take your hand off the throttle. Like, honestly, there should probably be a delay of like 2 to 3 years between next Marvel product. That way, at least they could get hype. Actually, you need at least one good Marvel product. Then you wait 3 years. Then you do another one. Then people would give a shit.
Yeah.
But you have to do a good one first. If you just did the break right now, it wouldn't work because you haven't released anything worth watching.
Correct. Yeah, they need to go back to the drawing board. That's what they need to do. Like, no one gives a fuck about Echo. I don't care how many people act like they do. No one gives a fuck about Echo. Like, tons of people don't even know who the fuck Echo is, especially if you didn't watch the Hawkeye show. If you didn't watch that show,
I can't get over that somebody with a prosthetic leg criticized somebody who needs a hearing aid for using a hearing aid as if it was some weakness. I still can't get over that. It still irritates me.
That's Disney's Marvel. I mean, hell, they wrote She-Hulk, you know, where the ultimate villain at the end was a troll. They were trolling the troll. So
And they were like, it's like,
yeah,
when you have your villains being objectively correct about your product,
correct. Yeah.
and you're tee-hee-hee-hee-heeing when they get their quote-unquote comeuppance, that just makes you an idiot. Just say it.
If only they saw it through that lens. If only. Instead of this fucking Hollywood bubble that they're
Can I
living.
just say one more thing?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Before we close out?
Yeah.
Like, they were doing these things, and they said themselves, I'm sticking with the She-Hulk thing, that they're like, oh, I knew exactly what people were going to say, what exactly the criticisms were going to be, and this is taking it to the trolls. If you knew what the criticisms were going to be, then why didn't you write a show where you could honestly say, this criticism isn't valid? Like, it's not rational. Because there are people, I'm sure, who will genuinely have the opinions regardless of what you say. But most of the people, like you and I, only say that something is shit when it's shit.
Correct.
We don't say it's shit just to say it's shit, or just because somebody's on, just because somebody's in the starring role.
Yeah.
If you wrote it well, we'd be the first ones to be like, good for you.
Yeah, like why would you actively come out and say that? Like that just shows that they don't give a shit about the fans. And I hope the stands, those Marvel stands, see this. Like they don't give a fuck about you. So why are you defending them? Like you don't need to defend this trash, this nonsense, because they don't care. They clearly do not care.
And one more thing with regard to the people who are Marvel stands, they do realize that Disney wasn't the ones that came up with the MCU, right? They just bought it.
Yeah, they bought it.
They weren't involved. They weren't the ones in charge when the things that made you actually like the MCU happened. They weren't.
Yeah, I think they were bought back in 2009, but by that point, Phase 1 was already in motion, and I think
Phase 1 was in motion, and I think Phase 2 is at least most of the way through writing, if not production.
Yeah, because I believe one of the producers or the chairman of Marvel at the time was Ike Perlmutter, and he was the chairman of Marvel Entertainment back in 2008, 2009 as well. So he was like there during that Phase 1 transition. And then what happened was Kevin Feige didn't like what he was doing. He wanted to be more upfront. So they pretty much got Ike Perlmutter out of there. And thus we have what we get now. So, but yeah, it's not the same. It's just not the same.
It's just I wish that the people who do defend this stuff realize that the MCU they're defending wasn't Disney. It wasn't Disney in charge when they were like the MCU that was worth defending wasn't under Disney's watch.
Oh man. I'm gonna end with this. There was a joke I heard on EFAP, and I can't remember who said it, but it was about the She-Hulk show when Daredevil made an appearance, and it kind of got glossed over. I think it got a couple of chuckles, but they were just kind of having continuous conversation. So I don't know if one or more people got to acknowledge it fully, like I did. Like I appreciated it a lot actually, and they were like, "Thank God." Essentially, thank God She-Hulk was a whore in the show, and Daredevil had enhanced and Daredevil possessed the ability to have his senses enhanced so he can smell where to put it.
Oh my god. I love EPAP so much. They're great.
I was like, wow, yeah, she definitely would have some type of things
Ooh.
going down there that didn't smell too well. That Daredevil was like, fuck it. A hole's a hole. But on that note, we thank you guys for tuning in. We ask that you smash that like button like Matt Murdock did. Leave a comment. Let us know hey, this is how they wrote him. This is how they wrote his character. Leave a comment. Let us know what you guys think. Hit that bell notification. Share this video out there. And yeah, you guys take care.
Bye, everybody.